Okay, absolute value and expressions and equations. Definition. Absolute value of a number is written with these symbols. Is the distance a number is from 0 on the number line. Okay, so we'll have a variable or a number inside these bars here, the absolute value bars, and that tells you the distance from 0. The absolute value is always positive. So the example I give is, think about when you were little kids and you first started trick-or-treating without your parents. At first, a lot of times parents will say, okay, you can go on your own, but you can only go 2 houses away from ours. You can go 2 houses up the street and 2 houses down the street. Or 2 houses east, 2 houses west of the block, north or south of the block, something like that. It doesn't matter which direction you go, north or south, east or west, left or right. Same thing on the number line. It doesn't matter which side of the number line you're on. If you're at -2 or +2, you're still 2 spots away from 0. You're still within that safety range that your parents gave you. So, when evaluating absolute value bar, the example, sorry. So, for example, the absolute value, like I said, of 2 is 2, because 2 is 2 spaces away from 0. But number -2 is also 2 spaces away from 0. So when evaluating absolute value bars, act as a grouping symbol. They're not the same as parentheses. Perform any operations inside the absolute value first. So like a grouping symbol, you go inside it first. But you can't distribute numbers like parentheses. Expressions. Remember, expressions do not have equal signs, and we evaluate when given numbers to plug into the expression. So, this got cut off apparently. So let's evaluate this. 3x minus 4y. If x is 2 and y is -3. So what we're going to do is substitute it in and say 3 times 2 minus 4 times -3. 3 times 2 is 6. -4 times -3 is +12, which is the absolute value of 18, which is 18. Our second one, 5 minus 2, absolute value of b minus 3a, if a is 2 and b is 1. You already have this on your papers. For some reason it didn't print. So I'm going to substitute 5 minus 2, then the absolute value, 1 minus 3 times 2, absolute value bars. 5 minus 2 times the absolute value of 1 minus 6. 5 minus 2 times the absolute value of -5. The absolute value of -5 is 5, so we have 5 minus 2 times 5. Because -5 is 5 away from 0. That gives us 5 minus 10. That equals -5. So, what would the stuff inside the absolute value have to equal in order for the following to be true? What are the possibilities of what could go in there to make 5? We're going to talk about this in class. Not going to write anything in the notes. I want you to think about it. What could go in here? And there's a multitude of answers. There are number answers and there are expression answers. You could put combinations of things in there. What could you put in there that would end up being 5 spaces away from 0? Okay, equations. So, possible solutions for, I don't know what happened here. It's not like it's on your paper. Absolute value of x equals 3. Well, the number -3 and 3 are both 3 spots away from 0. So because of this, the absolute value has 2 problems to solve. An absolute value is always positive, we already said that. Or it could be 0, because 0 is 0 spaces away from itself. So an expression like this is never true, because something cannot be -2 spaces away from 0. It doesn't matter if it's to the left. It's still 2 spaces away from 0. Think about your height. If you're 5'10", does that mean if you stand on your head, you're -5'10"? No, you're still 5'10". If you lay down on the ground, are you still 5'10"? Yes, you are. So the direction doesn't matter. Thus, there is no solution. The solution set is called the empty set. We've already referred to that before. Bringing that back. And it looks like this or this. Notice the braces with nothing in it, the empty set. So be warned, you could work out the problem correctly and get a beautiful answer, but when you check your answer, it doesn't work. Such a number is called an extraneous solution. So you do all that work, and you get a nice number, but it ends up being a false statement. So you always want to check your answers. Okay, I don't know what happened with the printout here, so you already have these on your paper. I'm going to pause and fill these in and come back. Okay, I'm back. So there are 4 steps. Get the absolute value by itself. Write out 2 problems. A is equal to B, or A is equal to the opposite of B. Solve each equation, then check. So here we go. Is the absolute value by itself? Yes, it is. So we're ready to move on to step 2. So we're going to write 6x minus 3 equals 15, and 6x minus 3 equals -15. And now I'm just going to solve. For space, I'm just going to kind of not write down every step. I'm going to add 3 and get 6x equals 18. And over here, I'm going to get 6x equals, if I add 3 to -15, I'm going to get -12. I'm going to divide by 6 and get x is 3. Divide by 6 and get x equals -2. Check your answer. Plug the 3 back in. 6 times 3 is 18. Minus 3 is 15. And the absolute value of 15 is 15. That is correct. -2. 6 times -2 is -12. Minus 3 is -15. The absolute value of -15 is +15. Number 4, the absolute value is not alone. So I need to multiply by 2 to get rid of the denominator. Now at this point I end up with 2x plus 3, absolute value, equals -20. That looks like squared. Okay. Now I can do my 2 problems. 2x plus 3 is equal to -20. Right over an equal sign. And, or, 2x plus 3 equals +20. The opposite of b, which is opposite of -20 is 20. Again, I'm going to not write out every step. I'm going to subtract 3 and get 2x equals -20 minus 3 is -23. I'm going to subtract 3 and get 2x equals 17. Divide by 2, x equals -23 halves. Over here, I'm going to get x equals 17 halves. This one's a little bit more complicated to plug in, but it still works. So if I plug in negative 23 halves times 2. The 2's are going to cancel, leaving me negative 23. Negative 23 plus 3 is negative 20. Divided by 2 is negative 10. But here's my problem. I did all this work. What is wrong? And this happens all the time. What is wrong? What did I do wrong? Let's go back to the beginning and see if we can find the error. That is a very common error. The absolute value of 2x plus 3 equals negative 10. We need to get it by itself. So we multiply by 2. And what that leaves us is the absolute value equals negative 20. We can stop right now. We cannot have an absolute value equal to a negative number. Okay? So you have to be careful. You have to check for extraneous solutions, but sometimes this happens a lot. You just start working and you actually get numbers that make sense that you can even plug back in and look like they're going to work. But you cannot have an absolute value equal to a negative number. It's a big no-no. Okay, number 5. It's by itself, so I do 2/3 x minus 4 equals 10, and 2/3 x minus 4 equals negative 10. Add 4 to both sides. 2/3 x equals 14. Add 4 to both sides, I get 2/3 x equals negative 6. Now, if you remember from algebra, to get rid of fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. 3 halves. That makes the fraction disappear. I end up with x equals, remember, you can do 14 times 3 divided by 2, or you can cancel, get 21. Over here, they cancel. You end up with x equals 6 times 3 is 18, divided by 2 is 9, negative 9. So you can do it either way. Plug the answers in. 2/3 of 21 is 14, minus 4 is 10. The absolute value of 10 is 10. 2/3 of negative 9 is negative 6. Minus 4 is negative 10. Absolute value is 10. Okay, first step, get it by itself. 2x minus 1 equals 5. Sorry, absolute value. Now we can bust it up into 2 problems. 2x minus 1 equals 5. 2x minus 1 equals negative 5. Add 1 to both sides. 2x equals 6. 2x equals negative 4. Divide by 2. X equals 3. And negative 2. Plug it in. 3 times 2 is 6. Minus 1 is 5. Absolute value of 5 is 5 times 5 is 25. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Minus 1 is negative 5. Absolute value of that is positive 5 times 5 is 25. It works out. Okay, number 7. First thing we're going to do is get rid of the 4. Don't need to show it. So I have 2 absolute value x minus 4 equals, add 4 to both sides, 10 plus 4 is 14. Divide by 2, absolute value of x minus 4 equals, both sides, 7. Now I split it up. X minus 4 equals 7, and x minus 4 equals negative 7. Add 4 to both sides, 11, negative 3. Check it. 11 minus 4 is 7. Absolute value is 7. times 2 is 14, minus 4 is 10. Negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7. Absolute value is 7. Times 2 is 14, minus 4 is 10. Both answers check out. Divide by 2. I get 3x equals the absolute value of 4x minus 8. Now, even though it's split up, you can also think about it this way. If you need to physically move it, you can write absolute value of 4x minus 8 equals 3x. Because what we're going to do is we always make the absolute value our a. So it's 4x minus 8 equals 3x, and 4x minus 8 equals negative 3x. So, easiest way to do this is just subtract 4x and divide by negative 1. You could move the 8 over and move the 3x over. It still works. Depends on how many steps you want. I'll do it both ways, one for each one. So in this case, I'm going to subtract 3x and get 1x minus 8 equals 0. Add 8 to both sides. I get 8. Or I can just move the 4x over. I get negative 8 equals negative 7x. Divide by negative 7. And I get x is equal to 8 over 7. So I check my numbers and plug them in. 8 times 4. This is a little bit more nasty. So 6 times 8 is 48. Equals 2 times the absolute value of 8 times 4 is 32. 32 minus 8 is 24. Absolute value of 24 is 24, so that's 48 equals 48. It works out. Okay, so this one is kind of nasty. It's kind of harder to test, but let me just tell you for time's sake that when you plug this in, on the left side you get 48 over 7, 6 times 8, and on the right side, after you do all the crunching, you end up getting 48 over 7. We'll talk about that in class and work it out, but that is true. No extraneous answers there. Okay, and last one is, you have to think about this as a quantity. So you have x plus 10 equals 4x minus 8, and x plus 10 equals negative 4x minus 8. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides and get 10 equals 3x minus 8. I'm going to add 8 to both sides and get 3x equals 18. Divide by 3, x equals 6. Going a little bit fast on this one. It's a bonus problem, and the video is getting long, so you can ask in class. This one is x plus 10 equal to negative 4x plus 8. I'm going to add 4x to both sides and get 5x plus 10 equals 8. I'm going to subtract 10, sorry, I said 8 and wrote 10. I'm going to subtract 10 and get 5x equals negative 2, x equals negative 2 over 5. So when you plug 6 in, you get a correct answer. When you plug in negative 2/5, you end up with negative 9 3/5 equals positive 9 3/5. So this is extraneous.